Hello and welcome to Mental Health Awareness Week Day 3. Today I'm going to be speaking to both friends and family about how the event affected them and both how it made them more aware of mental health. I'll be speaking to both my close mates and also my mum and dad, Penny and Paul, just about how they found the event and what advice they'd give someone that would potentially go through what they went through. My close mates, I'll be speaking to Max, Alex, Oliver and Harry. Max I met at university, Oliver and Alex I met at school in Redknock, and Harry I've been friends with since primary school, and we have a long 19-year-old shared history. Mum and Dad, obviously I've known them my whole life, but we'll be talking to them specifically about what advice they potentially give to other parents that may find themselves in a similar scenario.
What is it?
It's the news at 10 past.
Right, so first question of it all is, what were your feelings about mental health before my incident, and then what were your feelings after my incident?
Would like to think I was sympathetic towards people with mental health issues, but was probably a little bit shrugged my shoulders.
I had it in my mind that it was probably their fault that they could have been able to find their way out of it, I suppose. Something that sort of self-indulgent in a way.
In terms of then after, obviously what happened to me happened, and then there was the long period of recovery. Did that change your thought at all on it, Dad?
Well, that's definitely changed my view on it. I'm now very aware of the difficulties that people have, and that it's not just a matter of shaking yourself out of it and get on with it. You really do need help to get through these difficult episodes in your life.
How would you describe my incident and the mental health experience I went through? How was that from the perspective of a parent seeing your child go through that? In only 2 words, please.
Surreal, just totally surreal. It was like it was happening to someone else. You weren't the Dan I knew. You were nothing like the son I knew.
Well, it's very difficult. I mean, I think you really don't want your son or your children to be ill in any way, particularly with Dan or even my son or whoever. I was desperately wanting them to get better and maybe visualise that they were better than they were, perhaps at times. Just makes it very difficult.
Okay. So is there anything that you wish you knew prior to the episode in 2016? Was there anything that you wish that you knew going into it?
From a personal perspective, it's very difficult in hindsight. I think that if the various medical staff we interacted with had been more aware of mental health and were able to explain it better to me, I would have felt better prepared. You know, the GP that came out to you overnight, the general nurses in the hospital, they seemed to be as in the dark about what was going on with you as I was. At the time, looking back on it, a lot of what you were up to I found incredibly embarrassing. There was no other word for it. It was like, oh my goodness.
From your point of view, if there was any parents watching this and either their child is going through a similar thing that I went through, or potentially has gone through an element and is in recovery, is there any sort of advice that you'd give to
Talk about it. Talk about it to your friends, talk about it to anybody. At the time, you didn't want me to talk to anybody, which you do have to respect. If your son had a broken leg, you tell everybody how he'd done it and what would happen. I think the thing is with mental health and with what happened to you, you blame yourself as a parent. You totally and utterly blame yourself. You think, where did I go wrong? Did I put too much pressure on them? It's very difficult to understand what triggered it, and that's what you're looking for. And why did it happen? Why did it happen? Whereas, as I said, you break a leg, you know why it happened. When something like that happens, you can't help but think, where did I go wrong?
And from a father's perspective?
Well, I think looking back and things that I could learn from it, I think would be more open to the idea of how things are changing with people as they get older. It's seeing those early signs of change that are not in character. I would say that's to be cognizant of any changes in a person, particularly when they're out of character, and really to try and have a discussion with them, talk about what's happening, find out what their issues are, and then try and direct them towards proper psychiatric help. And I think that's what I would take away from it, is to be aware that these things do happen to everybody, and that it could be your son is doing the next one. We just sort of assumed that it wouldn't be.
Yeah. Any departing thoughts at all?
Don't judge. be supportive and listen, and endless patience.
Yeah, I would agree.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. And has me going through what I went through changed sort of thoughts on mental health at all?
Or become more open-minded, because it just wasn't a topic, even when we were at school, that was talked about a lot.
I had a very naive outlook on what mental health was before your situation. I think it was a feeling that it only happened to a small amount of people, and then afterwards I realized that this shaped my view of mental health, shown that it could happen to anyone.
Yeah, I'd agree completely. Like for me as well, I was definitely on the same page. I'm naive, didn't really think much about mental health beforehand, and didn't think, I was like, well, yeah, no, it affects some people, but certainly would never affect me. When I sort of came back from Singapore, what were your first impressions of it all? So were you at all like apprehensive to see me, or did you think that things might have changed at all?
Who wants to go first?
I was going to say, yeah, I thought you looked like you're about to speak, so I kept quiet.
I thought you were about to speak, so I kept quiet. But I don't think there was any chance of, I'm really worried if Dan's going to be Dan anymore. It was more of just wanted to understand.
I think it was apprehension due to you're not sure how this person behaves now, or like how you're meant to react.
There was a bit of anxiety because I wasn't sure, how this would have changed you, whether you would be the same as you were before. I was a bit apprehensive the whole time because I was a bit scared, honestly, about what I was gonna, which Dan I was gonna see at this point.
So if like a friend or a family member came to you and said, look, I've got so-and-so are experiencing difficulties with this, what advice or sort of guidance would you say to someone that was in that scenario?
I guess just sort of, be open-minded and listen, and don't go into it with any too sort of pre-expected perceptions based on what you've seen on TV, because it does seem like a very individual experience. I didn't really know anything or hear anything about it.
If I was speaking to the person directly, I'd say it's important that you need to be there for them. Try and understand what they're going through. I think as well, it's like researching it yourself, such as like the symptoms you had and the psychosis, and just trying to understand what it was.
It is kind of a little bit traumatic and a little bit hard to see someone that you know and love to go through something like that. You need to be the person there that is there for them.
In terms of now then, would you say you're more attuned to mental health?
I think where I was when it happened to you to now, I just feel as if be more open and just listen. I think that's the major thing.
Your experience is one of many experiences that I've gone through since 2016 that's probably helped me understand mental health in general, and perhaps my own mental health. I think all these things about mental health being close to you helps you understand yourself as well.
And it's definitely changed a lot about how I think about my own mental health and how I think about other people.
As you both have sort of had experience or had experience with me sort of flying high, as it were, how would you describe that side and who I sort of maybe became when I was sort of hypermanic, as it were?
You just kind of became like this different persona.
There's one particular memory that stands out. You were being so incredibly vague about life and religion and stuff like that, and you were quoting things from the Bible and stuff. It was funny because I didn't really understand how serious it was. So because it wasn't quite real in the sense I didn't understand the gravitas of the situation. You were just being this kind of strange person because myself, but more so other people, didn't understand it. They were more, I think, laughing about it because they didn't really understand how serious it was. And it was like unlike anything I've ever seen before. So it made it hard for me because I didn't know what to do or how to fix the situation. When are you going to get better? Is it a phase? What's going on?
From your point of view now, has it affected your viewpoint on mental health, or has it influenced you?
It showed that like these things are very real and they can happen to like your closest friends or family. You've got to just take the standpoint. You have to look after everyone and like understand more. It probably made us even more closer.
Has it changed our dynamic at all?
I don't think so. No.
No.
I think we're still the same. I just think we're open to different topics and subjects and everything. I really don't think it's changed who we are as a
No.
group.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
There was a small period where things did change between us. A unconscious wariness from my side, because at the time, obviously none of us are sure what the recovery process is. Is there a recovery process? Could it happen again? It's definitely, healed with time. Just time and acceptance that this thing has happened, but this thing has not defined you, and it has not defined our friendship.
What would be the biggest learning point that you would take away from the whole experience?
We did not have enough awareness about just mental health. I don't think we were prepared, as you probably can never be, but we also had no sense that anything like this could ever happen. And I think the biggest thing we can take from this is that people need to know that this does happen, and they need to know that they can, come to people, or they can talk to certain people if this kind of situation does occur.
But yeah, I think that's really good. Any sort of passing thoughts from yourself at all?
No, it was hard, even in like the following year and stuff like that, and especially with university and stuff. It was difficult. But like I say, you've come into your own, and you've become who you are, and I'm really proud of you.
Stop it. So that's it, guys. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that took part in the video. Max, Alex, Oliver, Harry, or Mum and Dad. The sort of insights aren't something that I can provide, and I think are really valuable to see how mental health affects others, especially these instances of such size. And I can't thank you enough, guys, for what you did for me. Tomorrow we'll be speaking about recovery specifically, and more talking about sort of the drugs aspect of it all, and sort of the phases that I went through after having such a huge high. But hopefully it'll come out at a reasonably time in the evening. I don't know why I said 5 PM, because it's just stupid. Who would put them in this other stupid deadline like that? Anyway, hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Goodbye.